The Two and Out CFL podcast with Travis Currah and Sheldon Jones starts now.
And here we are following the August-long weekend, which was also week 9 in the Canadian Football League. My body is I'm still rehydrating from Saturday. 30 degrees at the campground, Elk Island National Park. Then I go to the Elks game. And have you ever put you're a ginger, sunscreen. What does it do to you? Like, I end up sweating like a rotisserie chicken. It was absolutely brutal. 1 o'clock kickoff in Edmonton, 31 degrees. And I know we have fans that are listening in Eastern Canada, have been dealing with this heat wave for like a month. And I get it once, and I'm already complaining about it. But I tell you what, I miss the old atmosphere of those 8 p.m. kickoffs in the CFL's West Division. Not only for the weather, which it might have been pouring rain and storming at 8 o'clock. However, I love the atmosphere of those night games under the lights, and I'm kind of sad that those have gone away a little bit.
Yeah, I love night games, and as far as sunscreen goes, I don't mess with the cream anymore. I just get the spray and I just keep spraying and spraying and spraying. And it doesn't seem to do anything to me. So I would recommend getting the spray. Try that out. Okay,
I will try that out. I tell you what, like it was sad because in the LRT, apparently they don't put any sort of air conditioning on the LRT. So I'm standing there by the door. I'm on the struggle bus. I could feel the sweat like running down my legs. And Evan, a season ticket holder in Edmonton, he's like, Travis Currah, I listened to the pod. And he shakes my hand. And I was like, oh, man, I really hope he's not judging me right now. But Evan, shout out. Great to meet you on the train after the game. Sorry about another loss for your Edmonton Elks. But man, Sheldon, have you ever heard bison like vocalize? Because right now their rut and their mating season is beginning. Have you ever heard them?
No.
Okay. They actually sound like a lion, and they're like these 2,000-pound beasts that, You know how an elk sounds? It really doesn't match them. A bison sound really like matches their aura. And yeah, it's like if your car's in the way or you're a human being in the way, you're getting run over. So man, if you're going to Elk Island National Park and you're just looking for a nice drive, just keep your eyes peeled because those guys are fired up right now. I was so excited. Like, I was like, yes, this is amazing. And seeing cars back up when the bison are sizing them up, it's one of my favorite things. So week 9 of the CFL season started in Ottawa, where the RedBlacks got a 31-11 win over the Calgary Stampeders. Now, PJ Walker getting his first start for the Stamps. That kind of explains everything here. The Stamps had their first score of the game. It was 3-0, although Rene Paredes missed from 53 yards out. In general, it did seem like the kickers were struggling here on Thursday night. However, the RedBlacks needed this win. Calgary's got a little bit of cushion when it comes to a playoff spot in the West Division. Ottawa probably should have won. They did win, but it just goes to show how quarterback depth can be so important in the CFL.
Yeah, it just looks like, honestly, the Calgary Stampeders are a completely different team without VA in there. I don't know if it's just him willing them to victory or it's just, some of the other members of the team just aren't sold on PJ and they're not rallying around him for whatever reason. They're professional athletes, so that shouldn't be the case. But it's a tough time in Cowtown. I think they were riding pretty high after, it seemed like the best team in the West, if not the league at some points. And now, without VA in there, 2 in a row, and it's with the Riders winning as well, it's that gap is widening in the West Division.
Now PJ was able to put like a couple drives together, but that's about it. The wheels sort of definitely fell off in the fourth quarter. But I mean, the RedBlacks offense did their job. Drew Brown back into the lineup, making moves, and Justin Hardy, for my money, one of the most underrated receivers in the CFL. He gets a touchdown right at the first play of the second quarter that started off a 17-point second quarter for the RedBlacks because on the very next drive, Amari Henderson actually got his first career interception on PJ Walker. Some of these guys, it does take a while to adjust to that Canadian game with an extra guy on the field. And hey, these are going to be valuable reps for PJ Walker. I think at times he showed that he's got mobility. He's got a cannon of an arm. But he wasn't playing with the top receiving core that Calgary had either. They were dealing with some injuries, and they basically had a pretty inexperienced offense going out there against the RedBlacks. And the RedBlacks got healthy over the bye week, and they seemed a team very motivated and very fired up. I think they've had some bad luck to start the season. They've got quite the hole to dig out of. I guess this one's a pretty good start in that regard.
Oh yeah, they got the right team coming in at the right time just to be able to get that, win and maybe boost some morale and momentum. One interesting thing about PJ Walker though, if he didn't have the starting receivers, it's kind of weird that he didn't have any if he wasn't able to jive with some of those receivers, because he's probably been running the scout team with some of those receivers too. Often you see when a backup quarterback is thrown into a game, they kind of, start to be able to find players that they're a little bit more comfortable with and have a chemistry with. That's the word I was looking for before, chemistry. And so kind of weird to not see that, but he's also not a young guy. Like, he's had NFL starts. He started in the XFL or UFL, whatever it was. And so, if it's not going to work out here pretty quickly, and he's had a, game and a half to try to do something, Calgary might move on from him. I don't know, because like VA is a guy who he's had injury troubles in the past, and Calgary needs a viable backup, especially now when they're, doing a little bit better in the standings than maybe people predicted.
Another thing here, too, is I thought it was going to be a big Dedrick Mills game, and credit to the RedBlacks who just took him out of the game. He only had 7 carries for 11 yards, so when he did get the ball, he wasn't able to make it happen. I thought that this offense would try to circle around number 26, and clearly Ottawa did as well, because they shut it down right then and there. And after Justin Hardy's second touchdown of the game in the second quarter, another interception for the Ottawa RedBlacks. So that defense was just feasting. I was happy to have them in my fantasy lineup, which we will go through today, because this is my comeback, baby. I can feel it. I'm still like 200 points back in the CFL Fans Fight Cancer Fantasy League. But I almost had a 200-point week. And the RedBlacks defense, I picked them because they were cheap. And they got me 17 points. So they were all over the place. It was Lamont with the interception for the RedBlacks as they go into the room leading 17-3. The Stamps have another missed field goal from Rene Paredes. We see some kickers really succeeding, and some guys that have had long careers like Paredes, like Lothar from Saskatchewan, having some struggles this year. And meanwhile, we see cannons from, I know in a losing effort, but Jose Maltos Diaz out of Montreal. I don't think they were able to cross the 50-yard line this week on their own side of the field, and Diaz was able to at least keep them from getting a shutout. But interesting to see some long-time kickers struggling a little bit at this point in the season.
It is like it maybe makes more sense for Paredes than Lowther, because he's up there in age, and he's been kind of talking for the past few seasons about retiring, because he's a full-time firefighter, I believe now. If not full-time, he still is certainly putting shifts in during the season. But yeah, like it is kind of weird to see the mainstays in the top I'd say tier of the kickers, but you had players like Boris Bidet who they or Beatty, whatever, who, he was looking as good as he was, and then it goes to Edmonton and just completely falls off. So I'm not sure if it is anything to do with these the chips in these balls. I know that was a quite contentious point at the beginning of the season. It
was, yeah.
But something's kind of up but you still have Sean White, who's been kind of money for the past few seasons too. So,
hey, Mark Leggio's making it happen.
Yeah,
like their guys making it happen. I think Sergio just his first, didn't he?
I don't know I don't think it was his first, but over the past few seasons, Sergio's been doinking a lot more than he's certainly been used to. Very interesting actually, if you think about it.
So the only point in the third quarter was a missed field goal point, a chip shot. That was pretty crazy. The Stamps intercept Drew Brown, and then there was the bad snap to PJ Walker, who jumps on it, but then Ottawa got dinged for roughing the passer. So it ends up Ottawa ball, or Calgary ball, and then Calgary misses the field goal, 31 yards out for Rene Paredes. And
they deserve to get a point for some reason.
So if you have the ball on your opponent's side of the field, do you even deserve any points for not being able to get a touchdown? Because again, a failed goal is a failure to score a touchdown. So they failed on the fail. You get one measly point, whatever. And look, Calgary needed a point.
Points were hard to come by for the Stampeders in this one. So
PJ Walker did a good job throwing to Ottawa. Elijah McGee had a 59-yard pick six on the next drive to put the Stamps up, or down, I should say, 20 points. And then he finally hit Dominic Rhymes. He had a nice little drive there. So there was some flashes there. Being able to hit number 15. I know he was, the leading receiver, but still 4 catches on 11 targets, 103 yards, and a touchdown for Dominic Rhymes in this losing effort. So it's just good that Ottawa, they needed a win here. They took care of business, 19 of 27 for Drew Brown, 2 TDs, and yes, the 1 interception there. Dustin Crum gets in there. Actually, wasn't that the first play from scrimmage for the RedBlacks where Dustin Crum lined up as a receiver? And it didn't really work, but flashes of maybe what's to come for the RedBlacks. Sometimes these offenses, not only do they set things up for later in the game, they'll set things up for later in the season. And maybe they'll try to fool somebody with Crum and Brown being on the field at the same time.
Yeah, I'm all for it. Ever since they let that happen a couple seasons ago, you haven't seen teams actually take advantage of it more than maybe less than a handful of times. So I like to see innovation. We want to see innovation. That all this chatter about the CFL and the product, blah, blah, blah. We need to see some more innovation in the play calling, I think, because a lot of times play calling can be a little bit vanilla in this league with recycled coaches. So I'm all for seeing that kind of stuff, and hopefully more to come.
The Ottawa RedBlacks move on to Toronto to play them on Saturday. The dueling 2-6 squads as Calgary returns home on Saturday to host the Winnipeg Blue Bombers. Friday night football came to us from Winnipeg, where the Bombers end up beating the Argos here 40-31. This is kind of a crazy game. Another sellout at IG Field, but some nervous moments at IG Field as well. When you see that score, the Bombers go into halftime up 31-13, but it wasn't really comfortable for them after that.
Well, this game was it was a drunk. It was like the game was drunk. There was just a bunch of miscues that turned into touchdowns and returns. I'm sorry, if Winnipeg didn't deserve to win this game, I get okay, they deserved, I guess, but they shouldn't have, because if you take away the big 2 returns that we're going to talk about here, Winnipeg played like garbage, to be honest. I think Strevler didn't do good. He also didn't have uh, help from his coaches. There was a really bad play call that even later the offensive coordinator Hogan went on radio and said that it was the right play call and just threw Strevler under the bus, saying it was a bad throw. And that wasn't something that Winnipeg coaches used to do in the past. So you can tell that they're getting frustrated there. But I just, this game.
Was that when he threw the interception in the end zone to McFadden?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. And, like I said, this game, but this game was super fun to watch because of how drunk it was and all the things that were happening. So I'm not complaining. It's just I don't know if this score and this win is indicative of what Winnipeg is right now, I guess is what I'm trying to say.
The beer snake went from in the stands to on the field this game against the Argos. But if the Bombers didn't deserve to win because of special teams touchdowns, are you putting them in the same category as single points on missed field goals?
Sure.
Wow.
No,
wow.
I'm not. I just say that to get certain people upset now because it works.
So the Argos strike first here. Cam Judge taking that end zone or that interception to the end zone off of a deflection. Side note, was it just this week or are my ears working a little bit better or something? It seemed like players on the field have been mic'd a little bit more. There was a moment in this game where I could hear, actually several times, Wynton McManus chirping the Bombers because the Argos went offside later in the game, and McManus is trying to plead his case that it was, that was when Colin Kowski screwed up the snap and the Bombers did their... and you could hear McManus chirping away. It's almost like the CFL Wired is back, which was kind of a polarizing era.
I didn't notice that, to be honest, but if that is the case, that's awesome because I love to hear that. I got TSN Plus a little while back because I wanted to see Joey Chestnut do the hot dog eating contest.
It was on YouTube, man.
No, not. I couldn't watch it on YouTube.
That's where I found it.
Okay, well,
anyway,
live or after the fact.
After the fact.
I needed to be watching it live.
Okay. You
have to give
I respect that. I respect that.
But so I signed up for TSN Plus, and I was like, oh, maybe I'll give this the alternate viewing where it shows like the routes on the field and stuff, and it was okay. But if they could have that augmented view with that, but with louder mics and take away the commentary, maybe like something like that would be cool, and that'd be worth me keeping my subscription for sure.
I think there was a moment also in the Rider game on the sideline where Micah Johnson was I think they picked up a flag or something. There was a couple moments where they were like, that's when they challenged the Riders on roughing the passer on McLeod Bethel Thompson, and you could hear the Riders talking about it with some colorful language I don't know. I'm so into stuff like that. But it seems to be better if they know they're not mic'd up because then they change their behavior, which makes sense. Anybody would. So Cam Judge puts the Argos in the lead, but then Trey Vavel takes it 93 yards to the house on the ensuing kickoff. Now, the cable cam was there. Great view of that. And one shot that they did at I think it was the end of halftime. Was it Marsh and Ford in the booth? They had the cable cam behind them. In the booth, and then it went down the stand. I was like, "Wow, this cable cam. We're just getting started with cool shots here." But yeah, that thing was keeping up with Trey Vavel on that return. It was cool to watch.
Yeah, and rarely do they actually let it go the entire way on the cable cam. They'll usually cut to the side, and so I know listener and friend Dave Stadnick was just probably add attention watching that because of how amazing that was, even though it was the Bombers. But yeah, that was really cool. I loved, just the skill, I guess, of that cable cam operator, just to be able to track that as quick as it happened on field, and that was awesome. More of that, more cool shots with the cable cam, please.
What's amazing here is I know that you kind of said maybe the Bombers, they didn't play the best game here. But normally when a team wins in the trenches, they win the game. And there were moments in this game where the Bombers were playing that classic bully ball. And that Strevler touchdown run from 9 yards out, I mean, he's running right at them. Brady Oliveira got rolling. Nick Dembski got rolling. And they were beating him up. And on the other side of the ball, the D-line for the Bombers, they were just completely dominant at moments in this game, especially Willie Jefferson. And I don't know, man. I see a lot of talk that Willie J is done, that Willie J's aging. He was, for my money, one of the most dominant players in the Grey Cup. And here, did he have 4 knockdowns, a forced fumble that James Vaughter took to the house? Like, I don't know.
He had a heck of a game. Yeah.
I think for him, if you look at one game where he's maybe not getting to the quarterback, you could maybe make that case. But look at the whole body of work of over a whole season. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, no, he's playing great. I think you could definitely tell when, Deontay McMahon only gets 5 yards on 3 carries. But at the same time, Winnipeg, they were able to get some rushing yards when you add up everyone's totals here. But Brady Oliveira, 17 for 50 with only a 2.9 average. That's not great. That's, at least it showed that they were trying to establish Brady, and that's what the Bombers need to do. It's just
I think maybe the Argos had to have known it was coming with Strevler in at QB. But, sure. I guess credit to the Argos front, too, because Lanier, he deflected the pass that Judge caught. He was making plays. McManus was meeting Oliveira at times at the line of scrimmage. They had words a few times as well. Maybe it was just a physical game, but when the Bombers were rolling, it was when they were able to move the ball on the ground.
For sure.
Whoever was carrying it.
Well, yeah, and then Nick Dembski, he's always a threat to break one of those jet sweeps that he does, and like you said, Streffler, he didn't run as much as I kind of think that maybe many people thought he would, and they tried to keep him in the pocket a little bit more, but I guess, and it's kind of weird seeing Streffler not be the short yardage quarterback. They bring in Terry Wilson to do short yardage, so, which I understand. You don't want him getting injured, but I think Streffler would get a little bit more of those yards, but yeah.
Now, Trey Vavel takes another kick to the house in the second quarter. This one was a punt return. I know that Save on Foods was probably sweating when a kick return goes to the house in the first quarter, but Trey Vavel, man, what a game he had, and you could see the steam coming out of Dinwiddie's ears at times in this game. And the Bombers have a 24-10 lead. They go into the break 31-13 as the lead. But then it's the second half where the problems that have plagued the Bombers over the past few weeks reared their ugly heads again. And that's the secondary. Like, DeMonte Coxey has 2 career games in a row against the Bombers. I know last week was the winning one. I'm sure he would have taken another victory here instead of all the stats here. But he was over top of those DBs. He got an offensive pass interference late in the game, but they were all over the Bombers through the air, and it was pretty wild to watch. The Argos didn't really need to run the ball.
No. Yeah, they were able to get, all the offense they need, and that's just kind of why I said this game was as drunk as it was, just because it was so weird, and just the way how I guess Toronto got most of their offense in the second half because, they did other than that early Cam Judge pick six, they were only able to get a couple field goals, right? So, but yeah, Arbuckle, he's doing a really good job actually. I think, he's doing more than can be asked of him to be able to be like thrust into you're the starting quarterback for the first few weeks while we wait for Chad Kelly, and then just a never ending. Yep. Oh, might be another week, might be another week, and so now at least he has, I think, some time where he knows he's going to be the starter most likely for at least the next 6 weeks and probably for the rest of the year, but we'll see. So it's good to see him kind of settling into there, and other than the one interception, taking care of the ball and finding receivers, and when you have a guy like DeMonte Coxie, who's like you said, just two unreal games back to back, it kind of makes things easy for him.
Do you think we ever see Chad Kelly as an Argo again?
I honestly don't. Like, it's just so weird. Like, it just seems like there's other things going on that we're not being told about, and whether that's personal or not, I get it, but it doesn't seem like the team either has the faith in him anymore or he has faith in the team. I guess I don't know, but when you can see a guy like, and I get they're 2-6 the year after winning the Grey Cup, so that's not ideal, but when the guy who's making a quarter of what Chad Kelly is making is able to win a couple games, and they're very close to coming back in this one. He's kind of doing the job when you don't really need a guy like Chad Kelly with the distractions and all on the team.
Well, and we saw in this game because the Argos' bread and butter, and I've said it before over the past few years, has been their run game and their O-line, and they had a lot of young O-linemen in this one. TSN talked about it. James Vaughters, good for him. He's been a veteran in this league, hurt for a lot of it with Calgary, and he's been healthy with Winnipeg here and been able to get through. Like, Winnipeg's getting through with 3 guys. Toronto's got some young guys on the line, and especially at right tackle, and they weren't able to like the fact that the Argos were able to get back in this game, like it sounds like the Bombers should have smashed them.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying it's like I hope there wasn't many Winnipeg fans who were like stoked about how they played and how they won this game, because outside of some exciting returns, there wasn't much there. Like, you take 2 scores off the lead there, and the Argos win that game, and they win it pretty handily, I think.
Tony Jones for the Bombers gets a big interception later in the game. Chris Strevler, he's undefeated in starts this season, Sheldon. Started against BC at the beginning of the year, starts here, gets the win. They don't ask you how, they just ask how many, right?
Yeah, I saw a headline today actually that said, "Good news, Bomber fans, Zach Collaros is practicing," and I was like, "Is it good news?" Because Strevler's winning games.
Hey,
it is.
It counts.
Yeah,
it counts. The Argos, they're 2-6. They go next against Ottawa, and the Bombers 4-3. Go to Calgary here. And that's interesting. Like, are we going to see Strevler Walker? Are we going to see Strevler Adams? Are we going to see Adams Strevler? Are we going to see Adams Collaros? Who knows what we're going to see at Mac Mahon Stadium, my friend?
Well, hopefully they get some information by tomorrow, because that's when we got to record.
Yeah, exactly.
Interesting, because right now second in the West is kind of the one that is up for grabs. So this is a big win, or this game coming up is going to be a big one for both of them, when both of them, are struggling. I know Winnipeg got the win here, but I still think that they're struggling.
Saturday, we had a doubleheader start in Edmonton as the Elks host the Ticats here, and right off the bat,
what a game.
Yeah, Isaiah Wooden Jr. has a 75-yard return, and then a play later, Keandre Smith is in the end zone, and it's 7-0 Ticats. basically a minute in, and Elks fans are just thinking, oh no.
Here we go again.
Here we go again. But the Elks go 10 plays, 72 yards, almost 6 minutes off the clock. Justin Rankin is into the end zone, and the Elks tie up the game. This was a fun one. Back and forth affair that included a rain delay that was pretty close to wiping this game off. If we talk about the CFL weather protocol, the league posted it during this delay, and the game becomes official halfway through the third quarter. If the game's delayed by an hour after that point, the score becomes final. At that point, this game was 21-21. We saw this happen a few years ago in Montreal between the Riders and the Alouettes. This was like delayed for was it like 55 minutes?
57 minutes, I think.
And then the teams came out for the warm-ups?
Yeah.
Wow.
I think so, yeah.
Wow.
Because you sent me a text saying, I'm pretty sure this is it. And then then you sent another text, I think, like a couple minutes later, no, they're coming back. And I was like, because it was getting close to an hour. So, yeah.
Yeah.
You don't want a game to end as a tie. Like, at least if one team was up, then okay, fine. But I would have hated to see this game end in a tie just because of how exciting it was. Even though for most of the game, it was actually tied.
Yeah, yeah. I heard thunder at the stadium like 2 minutes before they did resuming. That's why I was like, I think this game's done.
Yeah,
like,
that makes sense.
Should I have just gotten on the train and not wasted this hour? Although the rain that came it wasn't like complete monsoon at the stadium. In other parts of the city and Alberta, it was, but not during that delay. And that rain was actually kind of refreshing.
I bet.
I should have brought a bar of soap.
They showed quite the cloud system on TV. I don't know if you could have seen that from your vantage point, but
I think it was behind me.
Yeah, because it looked like on TV, it looked like a great day, and everyone's like, lightning, come on, what's going on? And then they're like, well, if we look at this, and then we're like, okay, yeah, that looks like it could be quite the system rolling through.
Well, when I got on the train, not a cloud in the sky.
Yeah.
Not at all. But that definitely changed. The Ticats answered back with another touchdown drive of their own. A 10-play, 76-yard drive that took 5 minutes off the clock with Greg Bell going into the end zone there. Keandre Smith, another big catch on this one, 26 yards. Now, Keandre Smith, he started off the season kind of slow. But as teams have started to key in on Kenny the King Lawler, they've started to find other options to get them going. Keandre Smith, through the first 3 weeks of the season, 51 plus 33 is 84. He had 84 yards receiving in the first 3 games. In the last 2 games, he's got 276 yards receiving and 3 touchdowns. Both games, he's got 138 yards back to back, 14 catches against BC, 7 against Edmonton. What a stretch for him and Bo Levi Mitchell.
Yeah, it's just teams are going to have to figure out what they can do because you just can't double Kenny Lawler anymore, it seems, because Tim White and Keandre Smith are they're going to kill you too. So, it's just like an embarrassment of riches at receiver right now that Bo has. 6 games in a row that they've won. I would say 3 of those games, Kenny Lawler just showed out, and then everyone shut him down. And then it's been Tim White and Keandre Smith who've been the ones finding those touchdowns. So, I'd say all 3 are good options right now in fantasy if you're looking to build a team, because you just don't know what team is going to key in on what player, and it's going to be a luck of the draw, I guess. And some weeks you'll do well, some weeks you won't, but they're getting W's, and that's all that really matters at the end of the day.
At the beginning of the second quarter, Fajardo hit Arkell Smith for a 21-yarder. Then he hit Steven Dunbar for a 25-yarder. And then Cole Snyder is in the end zone. The Elks tie the game. But, man, at the end of the half there, I was thinking, oh, no, this is not good for the Elks, where they get stuffed on the 1 yard line on second and third down. However, this is the play where they on second down thought they ruled it a touchdown, and then they're lining up for the point after. The replay center steps in and says, nope, he was down before the end zone. So the Elks get another shot at it and get stuffed. I thought that this was going to take them out of the game. That's a soul crusher.
Oh, it takes everything out of the building because you get on that high of thinking there's a touchdown to, okay, well, we just did it this one play. We can do it again. And then just to get stuffed, and then you just give all the momentum to the other team. You take the crowd out of it. And, most teams would fold after that. And, it was good to see that the Elks, didn't.
And credit to the Elks defense. Now, however, the Ticats were able to work down the field here, and they were able to get out of trouble. And Bo Levi Mitchell's looking like a 25-year-old quarterback out there at times. How many times did the Elks have him in deep trouble, ready to sack him, and Bo evades and makes the big play? He is out of his mind right now. It's amazing to watch. So even though the Ticats started at the 1 yard line, they were able to get to about midfield before punting it and getting to the half tied in this one. Well, the Elks get the ball to start the half, and Javon Leake gets a big 47-yard return, puts them in great field position, and then Justin Rankin gets a 21-yard pass. He catches another one for 13 yards and is in the end zone. The Elks take the lead, 21-14, and I'm starting to think these guys are going to do it. Justin Rankin, 12 catches, 69 yards, and a touchdown.
Nice.
He adds 7 catches, 64 yards, and a touchdown. A massive week for him. I think we thought... what does that say on your Diet Coke can?
Oh, it says friend, but I was just trying to get myself back in focus because my camera sucks.
Okay. So Rankin has a massive game. I think when Trey was in there, we thought, the Elks need a running game to really succeed. I think that probably remains true for any quarterback with Edmonton. However, Fajardo, didn't he start the game with 17 consecutive completions or something crazy like that? I mean, he's playing like he deserves this starting job. I know they've lost a couple games in a row here, but, maybe should have won this game too. we'll get to that part.
His stat line was pretty good, but then that's the knock too on Cody Fajardo in the past couple weeks, or not couple weeks, but couple seasons, that he holds on to the ball too much to not throw incompletions, and he takes those sacks, which actually hurt you more than an incompletion would hurt you. But it keeps his stat line looking good, and so there's this kind of theory going around that that's why he gets sacked so many times. But he, when he's in there, he seems to be putting the Elks in places in the field for success, and he's, they're scoring points, and I'm not saying that Trey Ford wasn't doing that, because there were certain times where he was, but I think you have just more of a consistency with Cody Fajardo. And I think after the game, Bo Levi even said that Cody Fajardo was the most what's the word? The most underappreciated quarterback in the league, by saying that he just, he doesn't deserve all the stuff that he gets thrown at him, and he should be underrated. He's the most underrated quarterback. And so that was interesting to see Bo say that, because I think Bo has been pretty underrated the past couple seasons, actually, now that he's kind of coming back to his Calgary Stampeder prime kind of days.
Well, this is the this is the Bo that the Ticats hoped they were going to get.
Oh, for sure.
And last year, we had probably the disagreements and not the meshing of personalities with Scott Milanovic turning the ball over. So far, that seems to have stopped. And it's the response that the Ticats give the Elks later in the third quarter when Tim White gets hit for a touchdown there. But, I mean, Keandre Smith had a 50-yard gain on that drive as well. So, man, what a game here. There's so many plays made. Even when Cody Grace had that punt, was this after the delay or before the delay?
I think it was after.
I'm thinking that's a bad kick. Oh, was that on purpose? Cody Grace recovers his own kick, the punter for the Edmonton Elks. The game did go into a delay with 30 seconds left in the third quarter here, and then the game ends up coming back, and we basically just had the fourth quarter to go. What I found interesting is that right after the delay, the Ticats were able to shut down the running game for the Elks. And the Elks eventually got it back. But I don't know what happened during the delay. I was wondering, like what happened in Calgary and Saskatchewan, that postponed game, if this would help the home team or the away team. And it seemed to help the Ticats figure out the Elks' rushing attack for a brief time. But the Elks did take a lead there because the Ticats' offense was stalling as well after the delay. And it was 24-21 for the Edmonton Elks about halfway through the third quarter. And then Elks possession, just under 6 minutes to go. Stavros Katsantonius with the big interception to give the Ticats the ball, put the ball in Bo's hands. Well, they go 9 plays, 60 yards, 3.5 minutes off the clock, and Tim White, a 27-yard touchdown, a beautiful throw from Bo Levi Mitchell as the Ticats take a 28-24 lead with 2 minutes to go. That's why 19 gets paid the big bucks.
Yeah, it just seems like he's on a mission. I know he wants to get a Grey Cup for those fans in Hamilton, and he's just been money this year. It's been fun to watch, just because I think he was given up on too early in Calgary, but that's something that Calgary has done. We've seen it with other players like, Charleston Hughes and Henry Burris, even back in the day. Like they like to get the players out of there before they're past their prime, and we're just seeing a career resurgence, because if Bo's going to play like this, like he still could play multiple more seasons. It's not like he's as old as Trevor Harris is, and he just cracked the top 10 in passing yards last game, I believe, and he could probably, I think they were saying that he could probably get to the top 5 if he played another couple seasons, but he's had such a great career already. But he's on a mission. He's on a mission to win the Grey Cup, and right now it's going to be up to some other teams in a couple weeks. They're going to match up against Saskatchewan, and it's going to, that defense against Hamilton's offense is going to be quite fun to watch.
And he passed Doug Flutie in this game. Some people know that name. Bo Levi Mitchell passing him in the all-time passing yards list. Now the Elks get the ball back with 2 minutes to go, and they had an opportunity here. And Cody Fajardo with a beautiful throw. Decay on Julian Grant. 1:16 left in the fourth quarter. In the end zone. And Julian Grant drops it. And KJG has had a few costly drops this season. I don't know if any hurt more than that one. The golden opportunity for the Elks to take the lead. I will say this. Bo and the Ticats offense would have got the ball back at the 40 with about a minute to go. We might have seen overtime, but that is a tough drop.
Oh yeah, and like you said, it's happened multiple times, and for touchdowns before too. Like he's dropped him in the end zone. So, he's got to work on his concentration, finding that ball all the way. I don't know if he's looking to see if he's going to get hit or what it is, but it's something mental because obviously we know he has the physical tools to make that catch. So, but costly because the Elks they needed that win. They needed that win at home and just another one kind of slips away from them.
One player on the Ticats defense I want to give a shout out to is Reggie Stubblefield. This guy, he's all over the field. He had 6 tackles, 2 tackles for a loss, a quarterback sack. He had a knockdown. This guy is filling up the stat sheet, and number 1 was making it happen on the Ticats defense. The Elks, man, they were shutting down the run at times. They were making some of those sacks, man. If they could finish them, they're letting them get out of their hands. But Brinkman had to leave the game at least 1 point. That's a tough loss in the middle for the Elks defense. But there you go. Another loss for those Edmonton Elks, but they put up a big fight against the hottest team in the CFL, the Hamilton Tiger Cats. 6 victories in a row for the Tabbies, and they're going to be hosting the Lions here on Thursday. The Lions coming off the bye, the Ticats the first game of the week, and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander, MVA's MVP from Hamilton, is going to be in the house for that game. So that's pretty cool that they've been able to team up. I guess it's Shea Day in the Hammer, and he used to go to Ticat games as a young man. So having him in the house at Hamilton Stadium will be pretty darn cool. The last game of Week 9 at the Saskatchewan Roughriders crushing the Montreal Alouettes at Percival Molson 34-6. Mm-hmm. I don't know how many saw, the Riders winning, but crushing him by that amount. Now, Sheldon, we've seen a few teams this year go into their bye week with a lackluster performance. The Riders go into their bye week with a statement in Montreal. That was a impressive and decisive victory.
It was, and it was really good to see. It was the first time in a long time, for sure, this season where the Riders actually played 4 quarters and they didn't let the other team come back. They didn't, take their foot off the gas and just go into even more of a softer zone to let these other teams kind of get back and make it close. They won the game technically on the first series because those points, Brett Lowther's convert, was the winning points in this game, and it's been a long time since we've seen that in Rider Nation. And the Riders, if you're going to be the top team in the league, 7-1, you need to show it, and you need to win games that you should, and you also need to take some games that you shouldn't. Now, I know that the Alouettes are a different team without Davis Alexander, much like Calgary with VA, but McLeod Bethel Thompson has been able to do it in the past. It's not like he's forgotten how to play football. It's not like he's he hasn't got that old that he's that much slower. It's just again, they just have a different kind of dynamic when they have Davis Alexander in there. But just Trevor Harris, 11th game in a row with over 70 completion. Like, he's just adding to his CFL record. He's putting the ball where it needs to go. He's not, chucking the ball up and getting turnovers as often. Like, he's dialed in. Just like Bo Levi Mitchell, he's playing some of the best football of his career in the later stages of it, and it's just it's been pretty fun to watch.
Is Trevor Harris's performance this season only been overshadowed by Bo Levi Mitchell? Is that why I feel like it's not being as talked about as Bo, and maybe Harris and the Riders kind of like it that way?
For sure, yeah. Well, I think that they're not being as flashy. They're not being as as well, I shouldn't say this because I'm pretty sure they said on the broadcast that the Riders are actually leading the league in explosion plays on
Yeah,
offense,
they're
which,
getting big completions too.
but I think the bigger completions aren't necessarily the touchdowns, whereas in Hamilton, I think a lot of those deeper, like longer plays have become touchdowns, especially with Lawler, that stretch where he was scoring all those points. So I think that overshadowed it a little bit. But like you said, I think that the Riders are okay with that because they don't need to get in their head about it. They don't need to. They just like Bo, they just want the Grey Cup at the end of the year. They just want to go 1-0 every week. It doesn't really matter what the stats are, but Trevor Harris is just playing really smart ball, and yeah, right now I guess it would be Harris and Bo for the front runners for MOP. I would say
The Alouette defense is, top of the league in many categories, but in this game, all they were was on the field because the Alouette offense could not stay on the field. The Riders had the ball for 36 and 52 minutes. So less than 24 minutes of time of possession for the Alouettes. They've been second in the CFL in that category. The Riders number one, but beating that, stat by basically 5 minutes, almost 6 minutes for the Riders. They just handled them physically all over the field. I don't even know. Like, you're right, that first drive, 10 plays, 54 yards, 6 minutes and 48 seconds, and then it seemed like they were on the field nonstop. Now that Alouette defense dealing with some injuries, a little bit of shuffling in the secondary there, but the Riders, they just went ahead and took advantage of it. I mean, they were playing physical too. 15 carries for AJ Ouellette, 74 yards. Even Mario Anderson, 5 carries, 48 yards, almost 10 yards a carry for him here.
Yeah, he looked really good actually. He did not look that good in preseason, and so looks good on O'Day and Mace for bringing him back instead of trying to go out and getting one of the other cast-offs that were out there. But yeah, when you can come in and be that, every other third series or whatever guy, just to give AJ a little bit of a break, and you're able to have a 9.6 yard average, that does nothing but help out the team.
The Joe Robustelli has 5 catches, 28 yards. Maybe it's the number 82. But he does remind me of Greg Ellingson out there a lot for the Riders. Dante Myers.
Too.
Yeah. The leading receiver for the Riders, 5 catches, 136 yards, while Keyshawn Johnson had 4 catches, 62 yards, and a touchdown. If we do look at the Alouettes, their leading receiver, Tyler Sneed, 7 catches, 88 yards there, and Jose Carlos Diaz. Jose Carlos Maltos Diaz. I think I got it there. 2 for 2 on field goals, a 56-yarder. I think his other one was past 50 as well.
54, yeah.
Like the Alouettes just did not have field position all game long. No. It was a lopsided field for all the game, whole game.
Yeah. Yeah, it's just they couldn't get into rhythm. They couldn't it's not like they weren't trying to get into rhythm. Like they kind of, it's not like they really abandoned the run. Like Thomas Earlington had 6 carries, Deese had 7 carries. So I guess not as much, but when you're down like 18-3 at halftime, you kind of take away that kind of dimension of your game when you're trying to get back in there. But, it's not like McLeod Bethel Thompson was throwing the ball 40 times because they weren't able to make first downs. They weren't able to just move the ball and get into positive territory. The punter was like the most used player of the whole game, it seemed. It was just it was a rough game for them. Great game for the Riders. There's just not much more to say other than that, unfortunately.
I don't know if MBT was banged up, but what did you think about putting Caleb Evans in and then MBT back in with like 2 minutes left?
It was weird. Like I just think like if you're gonna put Caleb Evans in there to finish the game, then why wouldn't you have him finish the game? Like it was kind of weird to get McLeod in there. So maybe he did just have something come up where he needed to get that taken care of in that series. But because we're still, I think Davis Alexander has another 4 games left on the 6th game, if my memory serves, and I'm fairly certain he's gonna be sitting that whole time so that they can make sure that this hamstring is as healed as it can be before he gets back in there. So if McLeod Bethel Thompson isn't working out, maybe this is where you have to give all the reps in practice to Caleb Evans and give him a shot next game, because with Hamilton surging and winning 6 in a row, if Ottawa or Toronto are able to get any momentum here over the next 4 games that Alexander's going to be missing, the Alouettes could very easily be out of home playoff contention just because of this injury to Alexander.
Good for Tommy Neild to get back onto the field and have a touchdown there. Those 2 throws from Harris to him really illustrate how he was on, and those were just perfect, beautiful balls thrown. MBT was picked off by Jameer Thurman in this one, but this is just dominance right from the get-go, and that's it. That Rider defense, they were playing like this is the last game that they're going to be playing. Like the way that they were flocking to the ball, how fast they looked a lot more aggressive than they have at times this year, where they seem to be okay giving up yards. Here they looked like they didn't want to give up a single inch to the Montreal Alouettes, and at times they certainly didn't. Robert Kennedy had 8 tackles for the Alouettes. Arthur Hamlin had 7. He got into the game here as an injury replacement. And Sean Lemon back onto the field with 2 tackles for the Montreal Alouettes. However, Sean Oakman, I think he's found himself a permanent home in Montreal. He had a sack, and he's been making plays there as well. Marcus Sayles had himself a knockdown. He almost had, or did he have an interception? No, he almost had an interception. Marcus Sayles there. Malik Carney, 5 tackles and a knockdown. And Nelson Lacumbo almost had an interception. 3 knockdowns for number 25. Yeah, he should have caught that one. That's why he plays defense, Sheldon.
Well, he's like the Julian Grant of the defense. He's had 3 dropped interceptions this year. Man.
That's week 9 in the CFL season already here. So next, the Riders are on bye, and the Alouettes are hosting the Edmonton Elks. Doesn't that game seem really interesting now? Cody Fajardo cast aside by the Alouettes, heading to Montreal as the quarterback of the Elks. I don't know.
It sure does.
The way that the Elks have played in the 4th quarter against the Bombers, and then, against the Riders, and then how they played against the Ticats. I don't know. I think we could see a big victory on the road.
Yeah, this is just like Ottawa playing Calgary this week. I think this is just what the Elks need, because the Alouettes have been struggling, and the Elks, struggling too, but showing glimmers of hope. And and Cody's gonna have a chip on his shoulder because the Alouettes didn't want him anymore, and they wanted to go with young Alexander, and McLeod Bethel Thompson too. If he does get the start, then he's going to be playing against his former team. So storylines galore in that game.
185.5 points for my fantasy team, Sheldon. I could have got to 200. The Ottawa defense, 17. Bo Levi Mitchell, 53. He was my captain. Deontay McMahon, 0.5 points. That hurt me. That hurt me. Justin Rankin, 32.3 points. Tim White, 26.8. DeMonte Coxey, 39.7. And Keyshawn Johnson, 16.2. All I needed to do was make DeMonte Coxey my captain. I would have had a 200 week, but that means I'm back. and I'm going to follow it up with a 42-point week here. But as soon as we put, some cash on the line, a jersey on the line with our Patreon Fantasy League. Well, there's money on the line with the CFL Fans Fight Cancer League, and I'm still blowing it there. But I'm just mean, like no remorse to our patrons. I currently have a 29-point lead up on second place, Wally Walker, and I have a 62-point lead on Avi, third place in the Patron Fantasy League.
Yeah. And I'm not great at fantasy, but it's cool. You're all Shane O'Mac when it comes to a jersey. And you're gonna get it. That's cool. But you know what? I'm still having fun, and another great week of CFL football. I'm
thinking of a Noel Prefontaine jersey, Argo jersey.
Really?
Or an Osbaldiston tie-catch jersey.
Okay, that's not a Kenny the King Lawler jersey.
Rate, review, and subscribe to 2 and Out on YouTube. We'll preview Week 10 in a couple days.
The 2 and Out CFL podcast is written, produced, and hosted by Travis Currah and co-hosted by Sheldon Jones. Subscribe to 2 and Out on all major podcast platforms and YouTube to keep up to date with future shows.